All right, it looks like both of our speakers are here. So, Kale will start introducing and we'll get started.
Hello, everyone. Introduce our panel today on talent management. Exciting topic. So I'm Kale Feldstein here with Brianna McKell. We are part of the Houston I-O Psychology sort of network, and we're just going to do our nice little panel today. We're going to have Brittany and Bryan introduce themselves and give kind of a little career background, education background, and more about what they do specifically in talent management. And then we are going to open it up to Q&A. Like Bree said, the sessions are recorded and they will be posted at some point when we get around to it to the HIOP like YouTube channel. So if you find it informative and you want to send it to someone, that's where you can find it. Feel free when we're doing the Q&A too to raise your hand in Teams. You can also type messages in the chat and we'll read them out so that the people watching the video can hear them. But without further ado, I guess I will kick it over to Brittany to introduce herself.
Hi, everyone. My name is Brittany Thompson. I do have some slides, so I just want to share really quickly, and hopefully that works. Hopefully you guys can see my screen. I just put together a quick Canva, nothing too extravagant, but just wanted to share a little bit about my background and a little bit about what kind of drew me into the talent management space. So I'll just share from this slide so you guys can see. So these are all the what I say are my logos, right, of like all of the places that I've been and all of the things that the companies that I've joined. But essentially, I was born in Pennsylvania and moved to Illinois when I was really young. I moved when I was probably about 19. I moved to Georgia, went to Georgia State University, and then eventually got my master's at University of Georgia in I-O Psychology. My career was I would say it's spanned many different sectors. I started at Landis & Gear, a company that's in the IT/OT space. If you're familiar with that, that's just essentially smart metering. And then I moved into healthcare and spent quite a significant amount of time, probably about half of my career in healthcare at Piedmont and at Emory. And then I worked at an organization called Whitecap, which is really essentially construction supplies. So they're a construction supplier, did a lot with M&A, and I was an HR business partner there. And then quickly transitioned. I decided that I really quickly wanted to move out of HR, and also I wanted to really understand how to really build operational effectiveness in organizations. So I decided to go into I-O Psychology. So I got my degree, my master's in I-O Psych at University of Georgia, and that's when I moved into really the talent management I-O space. Currently, I'm at NCR Voyix as a talent manager. And really, I run the gamut of talent reviews, workforce development. I do a lot with succession planning and executive leadership coaching as well. A part of my job is also enabling managers and leaders to be successful. So a lot of training and development, as well as kind of one-on-one, leadership coaching is part of my job as well. All right, just a little bit of personal information about me in case you're interested. So I do have a family. I have 2 girls. I have a 9-year-old and a 9-month-old. So they're very dispersed in ages, but it's a lot of fun. And a little dog named Lily here. I love to travel. You can see this is a picture of me in Thailand. I love to any type of traveling is kind of count me in. So I love that. And then there's just a picture of the commencement speech that I made at UGA, but really integrated into UGA and the I-O Psych program there. And it's a really great network. So I'm still very heavily involved in that. But that's me. I'll stop sharing.
Perfect. Thanks. It's great. Great insights. I hear that you moved around a lot. I'm in a similar position where moved away from Cleveland to Houston for grad school. So your story, it rings true for me. I guess we'll kick it over to Brian here.
Great. Thank you, Cale. Thank you, Brianna, for organizing all this, and excited to be here. And Brittany, it's truly a small world, because I was looking at your second awesome slide there. And my undergrad, James Madison, just beat Georgia State in football last weekend. And my mother was the head nurse on the first kidney transplant at Emory.
Oh, wow.
And UGA rejected me when I applied there for grad school. So some good memories and some bad, spanning 40, 50 years there. But so my name is Brian Pigott, and I'm a salesperson, but I'm also an I-O psychologist. And there's a great book by Ann Tyler called The Accidental Tourist. If you've never read it, I strongly recommend it. But I feel like I am the accidental I-O psychologist in a lot of ways. I did my undergrad in Virginia at James Madison University. Wonderful place. But after that, I was applying to PhD programs to be a clinical psychologist, because I wanted to help people and save the world, which was, 21-year-old Brian, that made a lot of sense. Well, I got into the clinical program at the University of Colorado, and we shared some classes with the I-O students, and I really liked those classes. And I found myself miserable in the clinical classes, especially the one about the therapeutic relationship, nearly to the point of panic attacks. It was not a fit. And I stuck to it. I keep going. And we had a measurement class, and we had to develop our own scale to measure something, right? Content validity, all kinds of reviews, building items, testing it out. Well, I did my poster and my scale on matching employees to a laissez-faire manager style, right? Let's test people to see if they're going to fit the manager. And I called it something like, don't change the hammer, change the nails, something bold like that, out at University of Colorado, Denver. But I was very fortunate as the accidental I-O psychologist that Dr. Kurt Krager was our head professor. And he saw my poster and said, who is this person and why is he in the clinical program? And so he and Wayne Cassio and Herman Aguinness sat me down and said, Brian, we think you're in the wrong place. And they were 100% right. So I'm forever thankful to those three gentlemen for kind of pivoting me a little bit and getting me out of the classes that were making me miserable. And so I finished with my master's in I-O psychology from UC Denver. Unfortunately, that program disbanded, I think maybe 10 years ago, but a really wonderful place. And on our final day, Kurt Krager sat us all down and said, look around the room. You're going to run across these people over and over in your career. Don't be an a-hole. And that was the last lesson that he taught all of us. So we appreciated that greatly. So I went out into the world as a fresh I-O psychologist, and I got my first job with SHL and worked there for a couple of years as a junior consultant, account manager, doing lots of validation work, job analysis work, building some assessments, doing some custom work for Enterprise Rent-A-Car and a few others. And back then, this is the late 90s, the big challenge was the internet. It was invented, okay? I hear everybody laughing. That's okay. I'm 52 years old. It's okay. But the big challenge was, can we put assessments online? Is this safe? Is this ethical? Will everybody cheat? Is there login security? So we were battling these very, I'm not quite sure how to describe the challenges we got, but SHL was owned by a British company. And they were very slow moving, and the Yanks were pushing hard to grow the business in 1998. And so we had a lot of internal battles about putting assessments online. Well, we sold enough deals to convince them to allow us to do it. So we were actually part of the first team to do that in North America. From there, I went to a startup called Pure Carbon. And again, we were on the bleeding edge. This was 1999, 2000, and we invented the career button for websites. So everything you see now forward, Pure Carbon invented that. And my role was as a product manager, building out culture fit, skill inventories, and competency assessments to match people to jobs. And the genius behind Pure Carbon was that when you built a resume or a cover letter or took our assessments, that was like an ATM card. And you could take it from employer to employer for the companies that were in our network. This is 25 years ago. This was way ahead of its time. Unfortunately, the fallout from 9/11 and the economy, Pure Carbon did not make it, but the product lives on with a company called HR Soft. So there's a legacy there that's pretty exciting. From there, I went back to SHL for a couple more years, this time, again, as a consultant and an account manager. But what happened was interesting. When I was in meetings with clients, they kept saying, "Are you our consultant? Are you our salesperson?" And eventually I said, "Well, I'm not 100% sure." And so this kind of opened my eyes to a different path where I could help clients and my colleagues kind of translate these business challenges, and with the PhD consultants create kind of a shorthand conversation around, well, what does this client need? What are their challenges? And help move deals along faster and help grow them. And then on the long-term account growth side, I was able to really kind of predict what client needs would be, moving from assessments for selection into performance management, into development, into leadership development, and into succession planning. So kind of launched from there, moving to a few different firms, including Towers Watson, including Aperio, and then I landed at IBM. And this was, I would say, a real big inflection point for my career. They had acquired a company called Connexa, which was doing a lot of employee engagement, a lot of assessments out of Omaha, Nebraska. They grew rapidly, and IBM bought them for, I think, $1 billion, and had a lot of assets and didn't know what to do with them, really. So they hired, there were about 30 people that came over from the Connexa team, and then they hired a few others. But they hired me to work on what was called Talent Frameworks, which was a database of about 3,000 job titles, where job analysis was done. All the behaviors were there, the competencies, everything was scaled, interview questions, development tips, all kinds of great data. And so we would sell this data to large enterprise accounts and then help them customize it for their job titles, so they could kind of hyperspeed and hyperscale their talent management efforts. Did that for about 4 years. Then I took a 1-year sabbatical and built a couple houses just to kind of itch a scratch. And then I landed at a place called BetterUp, which is digital coaching through your telephone. So very much riding this technology wave and helping kind of translate client needs between what we offer in terms of products and what they're trying to achieve with their people. Spent a year there, and now I've been with APTMetrics for 6 years. And if there's any other people looking at getting into sales out there, I'll tell you right now, 6 years is a lifetime as a salesperson in enterprise sales, right? So typically only Fortune 500 clients. At APTMetrics, we have 4 pillars: general talent management, which is job analysis, competency modeling. We have high volume testing and selection, a lot of validation work. We do about 75% of our work is in leadership assessment and development. And then we have a 4th pillar to the business, which is really litigation focused, HR audits, and expert testimonies. So everything we do in the other 3 parts of the business lives up to the uniform guidelines, but then we also have to live up to all the legal standards, because we can't put any work out there that doesn't align with what we might be on the stand for. Now, my team and I don't get involved with anything legal, but we still have to live up to those standards, and we're happy to. So a lot of my time is spent with about 5 marquee clients, but then I also have to, what they say, carry a bag in sales and bring in $1 million+ in new business each year, plus manage all of my other accounts. And these are amazing people that I work with, very fortunate in terms of, Fortune 100 is most of the clients I work with, but again, we do the whole Fortune 500. And we're about 100 people. We're a boutique firm based in Connecticut, about 65 PhD psychologists and a technology team, and then we're 5 salespeople strong. So I will stop there. That brings us to today. And I will just share a little bit on the personal side. I live here in lovely Sarasota, Florida. I've got a 6-year-old son named Mateo, and we are finally getting married in March down in Mexico. Very patient fiance. And it's really been a fantastic career. And I just love this industry and I love getting to meet new folks, and excited to hear the questions and excited to see the growth in I-O psychology. When my first PSYOP in 96, 97, there were probably only about 800 people at the conference. And I think it's maybe 3,000 now. And I will say the ethnic and gender diversity that's shown up in PSYOP is incredible and great to see. And so it's nice seeing fresh faces every year at those events. And APTmetrics puts on a great party every year. We'll make sure we get some invites out for the group next year. Thanks all.
All right. Thank you so much, both of you, for sharing. What we always do is we give it about 10 to 15 awkward seconds after I introduce the Q&A, and if nobody asks anything, then one of us will hop in with questions. I have a couple written down. So we'll start with those 10 or so awkward seconds, and then if nobody says anything, I'll be here. Oh, we have a hand up. You can go ahead and unmute yourself and ask your question.
Thank you both for being here today and just being willing to share your experiences. So I recently graduated with my I-O degree from Columbia University, and my biggest question really boils down to, how would you recommend someone who's currently getting their degree or recently graduated to start getting into talent management? To me personally, it's one of the most exciting areas of that's where I want to get. And yet figuring out what road leads there is always a question on my mind. And thank you.
Mhm.
Yeah, and just out of curiosity, how do you pronounce your name? Is it Elliot?
Elliot.
I like to pronounce it D'Artagnan. That's my first name.
Okay.
That said, there's punctuation, a silent G. It's French in the first place. I love every butchery and pronunciation I get.
Well, I was just about to serve that up for you, but I thought I would ask.
I was being mean for a moment there, letting you struggle in the first place. I love every version of it, so don't worry about mispronouncing it whatsoever.
Well, thank you so much for your question, D'Artagnan. And I'll, if you don't mind, Brian, I'll take that first just because I actually just graduated with my degree in I-O psychology, probably less than a year. Well, it's been a year now. And transparently, one of the things that I struggled with was I was a HR business partner, and I just, I had been an HR business partner for years and years, and I had all of this great skill set that I had learned from I-O psychology, but it was hard to almost like to build that story around the transferable skills that you have and that you get. And it's also really hard to get your foot in the door. So the things that worked the best for me is leveraging the networks that you do have. So if you have an I-O kind of network that you can utilize through your school or through your alumni program, that really helps to kind of make sure that you're networking with the right people. That's how I got my job at Emory, which really propelled me, forward into the career of talent management. And it's almost like it's not what you know in a lot of respects. It's who you know. And of course, I'm sure you have a lot of talent and a lot of ability, but it's important to maintain that networking and that connection with people so that they know that you're out there looking. The other thing I would suggest is building a I-O psychology portfolio, which really helps. You probably have a lot of projects that you worked on in your grad program that you can leverage. Like, for example, for me, we did job analysis. We were able to do not only, kind of competency modeling, but also full scale, like assessments for real companies, right? Put that on your resume and be able to kind of create that portfolio for yourself so that you can speak to those key projects, even if you don't have that direct experience. So that's what I'll say.
Yeah, tough act to follow. I agree with all that, Brittany and D'Artagnan. I would just add maybe that, yeah, a lot of those, school experiences can be rotated into beefing up your resume, certainly. And I know it's a long time until next summer, but there's a lot of internships, some of them paid, many of them unpaid, but you do get great experience with those. Also, did you go to PsyOp while you were in school?
Bingo.
You did? Okay, good. There's always a great career fair there, right? Again, that's not until next spring, but there's probably a local I-O psychology group. And if you're I don't know if you're still in the New York area, or Columbia, Missouri, Columbia, New York.
I was at Columbia University, New York.
Okay.
I've relocated to Texas now, and I'm so grateful for this group because it allows me to connect with more professionals here. Yeah,
and I'll tell you this, there's one group that I think is always hiring new grads, and it's for things like job analysis, item writing, and helping run assessment centers, is police and fire. I know a lot of people that have gotten their start in that space, and it's great work. It's a great group, and it's a great resume builder. If you could be patient enough for next summer, I would encourage you to apply with APTmetrics. We hire about 3 summer interns every year. And can send you information on that as well if you like.
Thank you both for your answers. I appreciate them. I'm writing them down on a Google Doc right now.
Sure thing. I'll say this, we've all been there. You don't start by coaching C-level executives and doing developmental feedback on their 360 your first year out of school. It's nitty gritty. It's hard job analysis and SPSS and some item writing, which doesn't feel as glamorous at first, but it absolutely builds quickly. And places like PepsiCo, places like Walmart, places like John Deere, always hiring new grads.
Yeah, I know Penske is another great one too, that they're always looking for I-O psychologists, and I believe they have remote positions as well.
All right, thank you both so much for your answer to that question. Very, very in-depth. And one of the things that I always appreciate is when our speakers give like tangible resources, like specific companies, or, if they know someone, connecting our, audience with those, that is very, very helpful. I know for a lot of our audience members, because they're graduates or current students who are going to be graduating soon, and they're kind of looking to, get out there in the workforce. So I really appreciate that. Because we don't have any questions waiting, I'm going to ask one of mine. Bryan, my question is, how has your clinical psych education influenced how you approach your I-O work?
Oh, great question. I don't really know, because, it was only about half a semester that I was in the clinical classes. But again, there was a lot of overlap in that first year between the two groups, right? And this was a heavily quantitative program. So in one of the shared classes, we had to write essays about F-scores and correlation, and how they're actually the same thing when you look at how the variance is calculated, but we were not allowed to use any numbers. We had to write it out by hand. And I think because the clinical program was so quantitatively heavy, that really helped me in terms of having some I-O chops when I got out, right? I'd say the thing that's probably helped me the most is two things. Writing is the most important skill in sales. Everybody thinks it's about being flashy or chatty or buying dinners and drinks. If you can't listen and write, then you've got big problems in sales, because this is complicated stuff, right? If you need an advanced degree to understand selecting people and developing people and making it legally defensible, then your buyers are usually not PhD I/O psychologists. They might influence, they might be in the room, but you've got to be able to really boil complex things down and make them simple. So that's been very helpful, and I think I get some of that from the clinical program. The other thing is embracing technology. And now, I mean, I'm sure there's an AI question coming in here somewhere. But again, I say, D'Artagnan, to build on our answers for your question, get comfortable with AI, be great at it, but don't let it replace your brain, right? It makes you more efficient, and it's going to change workflows very rapidly. So out of the gate, being comfortable with that and being able to talk about it and actually apply it will be a big help as well. Oh, and then I usually just prescribe great medicine for my clients. That's the other. Yeah, I just do that. No, I don't.
Yeah, your answer really reminded me. One of our last sessions was on people analytics. Really being able to verbalize the numbers, because a lot of people are not number people. That's why they hire I/O psychologists who like numbers and statistics. So yeah, I mean, it just reemphasizes that there's so much overlap within the world of I/O. Like, skills in one part of the field can definitely apply to others.
I always feel a little greedy asking questions in here as the host, but because I have you here, I did want to ask about. I remember I was looking at PsyOp last year, and I'm forgetting the name of the company now, but one of the principal sponsors was like an AI assessment company. And because, like, Brian, you've been so like technology first throughout your entire career, is this something you've run into? Is this something you're selling to people? Is this something you're thinking about?
Yeah, for sure. Love the question. And so we have a great white paper on our website, APTmetrics.com. Has to do with it's called Bright Shiny Objects. So we take a very cautious approach to AI in terms of how it's applied. In the selection space, we believe it's very useful for rapid content development. We do not endorse, and there's a few firms out there that do this, and our CEO talked to the Wall Street Journal a few years ago and slammed one of them pretty hard. But he was making a point, because they were taking, predictive algorithms for selection and updating them hourly based on applicants. And so the cut score was constantly changing. And we said, well, have fun getting sued, because that's really, not legal and the standards aren't clear. So it's incredibly powerful, but if it's applied in the wrong way, it makes us way too nervous when it comes to adverse impact and unfair outcomes. So it's incredibly powerful. The prompts have to be great, and that's a whole other industry, right? I mean, and people say, like, was there anyone out there that knows people analytics and the business and selection and data lakes and all that stuff? And I'm like, yeah, they're called I/O psychologists. They already exist, So it's very exciting, but we're taking a cautious approach to it. But we're absolutely using it when it comes to building better like feedback reports for leaders and executives. We're using it for building avatars for simulations that are hyper realistic. And we're also using it for job architecture and work analysis, which is just job analysis on every steroid possible. If you've got 30,000 job descriptions, but you only have 20,000 employees, like, we put them into our system and we make sense of it for you. But then that last 10% is reviewed by a human. So we keep the human in the loop is very important. So. Anyway, long answer to a simple question. I'll throw it to Brittany for other thoughts,
Yeah.
and then just want to call out that Petra has a hand up there.
Yeah, thanks, Brian. So I haven't really had as much exposure as you on the AI side. The company that I work with currently, NCR Voyix, they're, again, like as you said, taking a very cautious stance on AI in terms of, because there's just so much that's yet to be determined in terms of like security measures and all of the other components that could go into that. I think, in terms of how it's being used, we do have ChatGPT and we do have Copilot that we can use, that we use for like day-to-day, sort of work. But I think overall the organization is taking a broader approach in how they're wanting to use AI for more so digital transformation, which I think is going to play a role in not only kind of almost like the structures of the organization and how we're going to really build out our organizations. Architecture and framework is another big one, because in IT and different kind of, I would say, the stronger technology sectors, we're finding that skills-based hiring is not a nice to have. It's actually it's here, right? And we need to assess our employees' skills and abilities and have an inventory of skills and abilities that are critical to the business, so that we can build ready now leaders that have these critical components. So that's kind of where I see AI being leveraged as a tool. But again, we're taking a very cautious stance right now, just kind of almost wait and see approach.
Thank you so much for those answers. Petra, did you want to unmute yourself and ask your question?
Thank you, Brianna. Thank you, Brian and Brittany. All the three names I just mentioned start with a B. That's interesting. Thank you so much for sharing. So, as someone who is interested in organizational development, I noticed that talent management has a lot of overlap with organizational development in terms of, employee engagement and, analytics, right, and reporting and talent development and things like that. So I'm curious to know if, in order to be successful as an organizational development specialist, would you recommend that somebody take, that some as well in talent management before moving on to organizational development? Or, do you see the two working hand, or what is the progression, if at all? I'm just curious to know that. Thank you.
Yeah. Brian, you want me to take that one
Please,
first?
yeah,
Okay.
go ahead. It gives me time to think. It's a great question.
Yeah, no, it's a great question, Petra. And I'm sorry, you were going in and out, but I think what I heard you say is, organizational development specialist, and kind of how does that go or coincide with talent management, and kind of what does that career progression look like? Is that right? Is that fair? Okay. Yeah. So, for me, specifically, and what I've seen with different different people, different organizations, what I've seen typically is that those career, I guess, pillars go hand in hand, right? They're typically overlapping. Depending upon the size and the scope of the organization, if you're in organizational development, or if you're in, or what I would call organizational effectiveness and talent management or learning and development, typically those are in the same area. And in my experience, if you're in talent management, you'll have the almost like the exposure to do many of those different things within that space. Like, for example, in my last role, I was in talent management specifically, but I also focused on organizational culture. I also focused on leadership development, right? Building out like assessments and 360s, things like that. And then I also did learning and development, which was like facilitation. So I will say, depending upon the size and the scope of the organization, you'll have a chance to work on a myriad of different things. There's not necessarily a one-for-one, almost like career trajectory where you can say, okay, I'm a organizational development specialist, and now I'm moving into talent management. It really is more fluid, but what I will say is if you're interested in getting into more of the leadership and organizational development side of things, talent management is a great area and opportunity for you to flex your muscles in that, because you'll be doing primarily leadership development, and as well as the bread and butter of talent management is essentially talent review. So you'll be working with leaders alongside of them, kind of like assessing their talent and doing like talent reviews, succession, those types of things. So if you're interested in that, that's a great, I would say, feeder pool into that role.
Brittany, I'm with you 100%. In Europe, they don't call it I-O psychology, they call it occupational psychology. It's all blended together. It's like, let's say you run a 360 on one person and you look at the data. Okay, great. I'm an industrial psychologist. But then if you look at trends by team level, okay, I'm still an industrial psychologist. If you look at it org wide, now you're OD. Really? So it's just a matter of I think the I-O term is a little bit of I think it's a disservice to what we do. The key is having good data, right? The key is having valid measures. And if that's at the individual, team, or organization level, the I side informs the O side 100% based on the level of analysis. So yeah, I love the way you said that, Brittany. Like, it's not really like a ladder where suddenly you're on the O side of development or effectiveness, but I think it's more about the level of analysis. And I can tell you, I sell to business leaders, learning and development, organizational effectiveness, talent management, chief people officers. It's a lot of different names for a lot of the same things, but all of them love it when you show them the data you'll get them, how it can be useful, and how it translates to help with their KPIs and what they need. Like, they never say, hey, we need our empathy scores to go up across the board. No, they want to know that customers love the company more, right? And maybe you get there through empathy, but the executives don't care if we move empathy from a 4 to a 5. They want to hear it in their terms. And again, I think that's where we are uniquely positioned to do that translation from talent data to business needs. Petra, did this help? And do you have any follow-up questions?
Absolutely. This helped a lot. Thank you so much, Brian. Thank you. That was very helpful. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Looks like Emmy has a question.
Yeah, you can, I don't know if it's Em or Emmy, but you can go ahead and unmute yourself to ask your question.
Yeah, hi, sorry. And yes, it is Emmy. Thank you for noticing that. I appreciate it. I had a quick question just kind of regarding, like, we're talking about individual differences in my Foundations of I-O class right now, because I'm a first-year master's student at Rice right now. And so I was kind of wondering, what are some mistakes that you've seen people make when they're just starting off in talent management?
I've got hundreds that I could say for myself. I mean, if you don't mind, Brittany, I'll go first on this one.
Yeah.
Look, I think sometimes people try to do too much too fast because they want to contribute quickly. And I've been guilty of that many times. Every time I've had a new job, I want to contribute quickly, right? Because we feel like we've got to earn our place quickly. The truth is, if someone hires you, they've invested in you, they want you there, and they want you to succeed. So, like, I would say, when you get that first role, marinate for a while in that role, right? Learn the ropes, learn who your teams are, learn the processes. You don't have to hit a home run, in week one or month one of being on the job. So sometimes people kind of push that too much. And I know I've done that in my career. And then I'll say one more, only because it's embarrassing, but I was doing a pitch with AOL.com. Anybody remember them? Outside of DC. This is like 25 years ago. But I really wanted everyone to know I was the smartest person in the room, even though I wasn't. And I kept talking and talking and talking, and it just wouldn't stop. And again, I was very young, and I was not good at sales. No one's good at sales when they first start selling. But I learned from that it's better to say less. And I just couldn't find a way to stop until I got the hook from one of my leaders. So anyway, I'll sum it up with: give yourself time to marinate, and when you're ready to shine, it'll be natural. And when in doubt, less is more when it comes to your part in a presentation.
And I'll just add to that. I'm just writing down all of the mistakes that I've made, and that I've also, I think it's easy to also see other people's mistakes too sometimes, and then I have to realize, well, everything I'm writing down, I've made, and I think, look, give yourself time and give yourself the space. Understand that, being a new I-O psychologist, there is a lot that you will learn just in any organization. But that being said, I would say number one kind of like piece of advice is to own your expertise. Like, we are I-O psychologists, we are the experts. When we go into the room, we have the knowledge and ability. You're training to be an I-O psychologist, and when you come out, you'll have more knowledge and insights on this than the majority of the population, right? So in organizations, a lot of times you will find that you are the only I-O psychologist in the room. Own that, right? Own your expertise, own what you have to say, own your words. We are a lot of times the voice of reason in the room. I was in a talent review today, and there were leaders that were talking about this person, and they're they're a nice guy, and they're just so great, and don't we just love Jim? And I had to kind of be the person in the room to say, yeah, like, we're all nice people, but what significant accomplishments has this person contributed? So it's a lot of times it's kind of just owning that voice and understanding that sometimes we have to make that that hard kind of decision. I would also say, assuming, what's that saying, when you assume, you make an ass out of you and me? Like, it's 100% true. Don't assume anything, right? Go into it approaching everything with curiosity, especially if you're new. Use the fact that you're new to really kind of ask as many questions as you need to. Your job is really to learn the business and to build relationships with people. The first 90 days is all about building relationships. It's not even about doing the work or having a necessarily a win. It's really just about making sure that you understand the business and that you understand the people that can help you get to where you need to be. And that's where I've seen people make mistakes, is if they don't take the time to really establish those relationships, observe what's going on. They just come in, as Bryan said, they come in and they want to execute everything under the sun. Oh, I've learned all of these things, and now I want to go ahead and execute everything all at once. And it creates a sense of, I think, change fatigue for people. It can create, and also too, it can cause you to lose steam. So just remember that you're dealing with organizational components that are outside of the span of your control. And, you need to, really, it helps you to put things in perspective that, you can only, operate within your sphere of control.
I'm going to pick up on day 91 because I love what you said there about the first 90. And so we do this thing called like HR empathy mapping, and it's based on fiscal year of the organization, right? So for my clients where their fiscal year ends December 31st, I know when they're shopping for new services, I know when they're contracting, and I know when they're putting things in place. Right. So when they're putting things in place, I can't call them and try to do a needs analysis and sell them anything. It just doesn't fit. Some of my clients, their fiscal year ends in October, some it's August. So really understanding where, and this, again, I'm saying this from the external perspective, but I think internal it applies as well, Emmy, in terms of knowing where your group is. Where is your team? Are we shopping? Are we comparing? Or is it implementation time? Or is it performance review time? And you've got to just have that awareness to know if it's performance review time, let's not talk about redesigning that system, right? Because that's going to create a bunch of wake that you kind of don't want to have. The other thing I'll add is the importance of gratitude. In every role, at every level, it takes a lot of people to get anything done at an organization, and a lot of people will touch something and never get a thank you. So the more you can just track anyone and everyone that helped, and make sure the thank yous and the call outs are there, it's a big help in your career.
That's wonderful. Thank you all so much.
I love that. Those were great answers. If anyone else has questions, feel free to jump in. Otherwise, I definitely have a couple more.
I've got one as well. Sorry. It should be quick, but it's just, Brian, you brought up PSYOP a couple times. I want to ask, and I'm hoping others in this group will be going, some of the people in school, but I'm going to hopefully be going this year. I actually submitted a poster, so I'm hoping it gets accepted. But I wanted to ask, for a first-time person who's never been to a conference, how do you make the most out of the weekend? What should you spend your time doing? What's fun? What can you avoid?
Oh, well, don't drink too much. It's very dangerous. There's a lot of parties. It's a lot of fun, but you're just going to find a ton of nice people that want to help. You're going to meet some legends, in the field. Some Schmitz will be there, I'm sure. But there's no shortage of fascinating topics, to see. Be sure you interact. Ask a few questions to panels. When you're listen, those poster sessions are busy. You're going to have tons of traffic coming by and people wanting to chat you up. So, get business cards, be authentic, have a lot of fun. But I always enjoyed going to the sessions. I loved the sessions very much. Don't get too wild. Oh, there's also a career fair. Sign up for the career fair.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely, because there's active interviewing going on the whole time.
Wow.
What about you, Brittany?
To be honest, I have never been to PSYOP. I'm planning on going next year though. But I have heard really good things from it, and I will second the whole career that event, because I do know several I/O psychologists that have gotten careers and jobs from that specifically. So I think it's a great way to connect and to get your foot in the door in places.
Is it Seattle next year?
I thought it was Louisiana.
New Orleans.
New Orleans. Oh my gosh. Okay.
I'll just share as a student to a student, because I just graduated on that side. I would encourage you to say, what do you want out of it, and to be very specific when you are answering that question to yourself. If you want to know a lot about AI, there are plenty of sessions that will teach you more about AI. But PSYOP is, and not to lament for a long time, but in short, PSYOP is not just the US. Internationally, this is the big I/O conference. So for me, the thing that I'm most grateful for that I went there for was the international connections, because that was the chance that I don't just message someone in the UK talking about it. Suddenly, I know 18 people on a first name basis, and we got pizza that day, and now we can go ahead and pull back. We have a real relationship rather than just we're characters online. So question what type of job you're trying to get, or what you want your doctorate degree to be in, or whatnot, because this is the time to meet those people. That would be my 2 cents. Having gone and regretted getting I slept at a hostel that was of like 30-minute walk away instead
Oh,
of
wow.
just paying a little bit more and being close. I'm gonna encourage you to go ahead and just pay a little bit more and be a little bit close, because at the end of the day, just the time of commuting to and from the hostel took away from time that I could have been meeting more people.
All right, thank you for that, guys.
It's great advice.
Yeah, those are definitely great answers. I kind of had the same question, to be honest, because it will also be my first time going to SciOp, but I'm very excited. But the more I learn about it, the the more my overwhelm slightly increases at how many different things are going to be going on at the same time. I'm like, I don't know how this much is gonna be squeezed into 4 days or 3 days, however long it is. So that's a great approach to kind of know what you want out of it first and then make your decisions based on that. I think we have someone with their hand up. Kadisha, I think. If you want to unmute yourself to ask your question, go ahead.
So I'm not going to ask a question. I'll give a few more tips for first-time goers at SciOp. One of the things, they definitely have a first-timer thing, so be on the lookout for that, where they'll pair you with someone who'll give you a bunch of tips about how to traverse your first time. But besides from that, there'll also be like Zoom meetings, at least 2 or 3, to just get you in the right mind frame. It is huge. It is overwhelming. I would say my tip is to use that, to know that while the sessions are fun, this is an extremely easy way for you to meet people and network. So there will be events before, like the day before the conference starts, there will be events at nighttime, and don't overload your schedule, because when the schedule comes, you are going to see 1,000 topics that you're like, I want to be there. How can I be in 3 places at once? Literally. You need to be honest with yourself. You cannot be in 3 places at one time. But what you can do is make note of the speakers that you're like, okay, they are talking about a topic that I'm interested in. So maybe I won't get to go to this person's thing. You're not going to say it to them that I can't go to you because I want to go see someone else, but you'll reach out to them later and you'll say, I was very interested in your topic, didn't get a chance to make it, and make a connection. Like, everybody there is super friendly, and there's a million networking events. You can't go to them all, but you can use this as an opportunity to find people who have an affinity for your interests, and you can make that connection with them very easily. There will be also like what is it, on the Hoover app, where they put all the information there, and you can go through it. It'll be constantly updated. It's going to be a lot of information, but you will be able to go through it with your subject matter that you are most interested in and start favoriting. And when they say it's going to go away, it is going to go away. So make sure you get what you need out of it before everything's wiped out. So get the names, get the sessions you didn't get to see, get the topics, get the oftentimes people will put on their profile books that they've written, or places, things where they work, what they're doing, stuff like that. Get all that information. I would say start your spreadsheet now, and so when they start announcing things, you'll just be able to be like, okay, this is what's important to me. But do make time to enjoy it, and enjoy the connections with the people, and not just focus on, I need to get to every single session. You will burn out. You will be exhausted. Denver might have been, high altitude. It might have been even harder. But yeah, those are my tips. And people are very, very friendly.
Thank you so much for that. Very insightful. And I will absolutely take those to heart because I get a little bit more nervous the closer that we get to all the things that are going to be going on at once. We are pretty much at time. If anyone else has a question, we can take it really quick, and then we will wrap up right at 6:30.
Do you want us to do parting comments of any kind, or?
That's up to you.
Because I have
If you
one.
have anything else to say, go ahead, throw it out there.
Well, I was just going to say, whether you are interested in sales or not, but learn how to write contracts. You spend a lot of time writing scoping work and turning that into easy to read step-by-step project plans. And again, you're going to partner with people on that. But again, writing is a critical skill. I spend a lot of time working on contracts and legal language before it goes to the attorney. So it's something you can pick up through practice or through education. But even as a practicing I/O psychologist, if you're internal, a lot of times you'll be asked to look at those contracts and make sure the scope gets you what you need from external vendors. So just another skill you can put in the bag and on the resume if you get some practice at it. And just want to say thank you so much, Brianna and Cale. Appreciate it. And thanks all for listening to us. And please, please reach out. Please connect on LinkedIn and here for any questions.
Thank you so much. Hopefully there will be a PSYOP session on contracts and legal terminology and things.
Maybe we have never seen one. Maybe we need one.
That's an idea.
Hey guys, I just wanted to say I'm so sorry. My audio went out, and so I had to join via my phone. But this was amazing. Thank you guys so much for all of your questions. I'm so excited to be here. Definitely connect on LinkedIn, and we wish you all of the best in your I/O journeys.
Yes.